in a period where there's a lot of uncertainty, what we can be certain about almost is that people are going to respond differently. And what we've seen is across, psychological science and the sciences more generally, human sciences more generally, is that we need to understand the reasons for those differences and be accepting of those. At the moment, we're quite judgmental at times of people's responses. So if people are too happy or too productive, it's like, oh, well, you're a bit of a pain. It's actually frustrating, but that might be their way of coping. We need to be understanding and accepting of that. On the flip side, there will be people whose livelihoods will be completely destroyed by the current situation, and we really need to try and put ourselves in the shoes of those individuals and be empathetic and be compassionate where appropriate. But the key thing, I guess, that is sometimes missing in the discussion about behavioral science, and it's sort of how the science is set up, is that there's an all-size-fits-all approach, that there should be a strategy for how you manage this. There's a social distancing policy, there's this policy and there's that policy, but while those things are true, it's also the case that people need to find their own way through this and find what works for them, experiment with what works for them, and not try and be overly productive and put pressure on themselves where it's detrimental to themselves. Maybe it's the case that they just need to take 2 weeks off. Some people should maybe taking annual leave and having a bit of downtime, spending time with the family. There's no right or wrong answer, and it's such a complex situation. People find themselves in a situation that we're just not prepared to deal with. But the best way to prepare for that is in going based on first principles. See what works for you, what feels right, what doesn't feel right, and adjust that on a daily basis.